Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Wilson School Board for Monday, September 16th, 2019. Can I have a roll call, please? Here.
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 Mrs. Cocker?
Here.
Mr. Martin? Here. Mr. Negrini?
Here.
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
9 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. We have our JROTC here to post the colors. Everyone please rise.
Mark time. March. Colors. Halt. Red. Face. Sir, permission to post colors. Post colors. Present. Arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of
Order. Arms. Reverse colors. March. Right. Face. Mark time. March. Forward. March.
Great job. Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Maravich?
Public participation announcement. There's two opportunities for the public to address the board. The first is on agenda items, which is immediately before the agenda. The second is on non-agenda items, which is at the end of the meeting. Pursuant to board policy and the Sunshine Law, it is a 3-minute opportunity to provide the board with the matters that are or may come before, your comments on matters that are or may come before the board. My understanding is there's no public
None
participation.
for agenda or non-agenda. Okay. No communications either, Ms. Carroll? No. Okay. Thank you. Just an announcement that the board did meet in executive session prior to tonight's meeting for a personnel issue. Looking to move on to approval of the minutes. Need a motion to approve the minutes for the school board meeting held September 3rd, 2019 as attached. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Second. Mrs. Cocker, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Treasurer's report, Mr. Martin.
Mr. President, I submit for approval tonight the Treasurer's report, the investment report, the general fund financial reports as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ehrlich? Yes. Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hoff?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
9 for, 0 against.
Thank you. Payment of bills, Mr. Martin.
Mr. President, I submit for approval for payment tonight out of the general fund $1,390,091.19. Out of the capital reserve, $24,272.57. The 217B construction fund, $74,890.10. And the 2019A construction fund, $710,718.65.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hoff?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
9 for, 0 against.
Thank you. Financial reports, Mr. Martin.
Mr. President, I submit for approval the cafeteria report for August, the child care report for August, the Southern Middle School account for August, Wilson West Middle School for August, and the senior high for August.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hoff?
Yes.
sorry, Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Fadley.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. This evening, I present the personnel and program recommendations as listed.
Thank you. So looking for a motion for 6-1 through 6-6. Mr. Hart, thank you. Second, Mrs. Cocker. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hop?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
9-4, 0 against.
7.1 under Human Resources, looking for a motion to request approval to authorize and appoint the appointment of Brad Hahn to Human Resources Director at a salary of $115,000 per year effective October 28th, 2019. 7.2, looking for a motion to approve the new job descriptions of Director of Student Supports and Services and Administrative Assistant to the academic supervisors as attached. 7.3, looking for a motion to approve the 2 support staff positions that were inadvertently admitted from the 2019-20 support staff compensation ranges approved at the July 15th, 2019 board meeting as presented. 7.4, looking for a motion to grant permission to approve the recommendation of Veronica Andes for the position of Supervisor of Curriculum K through 8 as presented. 7.5, looking for a motion to grant permission to approve the recommendation of Michael Dillon for the position of Supervisor of Curriculum 7 through 12 as presented. 6 through 12 as presented. 7.6, looking for a motion to grant permission to approve the recommendation of Chris McCaffrey for the position of Professional Learning Coordinator as presented. And 7.7, looking for a motion to grant approval of the stipends to be paid from Title III grant as presented. Do I have a motion for 7.1 through 7.7? Mr. Negrini, thank you. Mr. Ehrlich, second. Any discussion? Yes, Dr. Kennedy?
I am a hard no on this because, and I'm not picking on Dr. Andes. I love her. She's wonderful. She passes my #1 test of what's a good human being. She has impeccable taste in books and literature. I love nothing more than a nerdy little, good book discussion with her. And if it was Mr. Dillon's name or someone else's name in there, it would also be a hard no for me. When you call someone the supervisor of curriculum for K to 8, I believe greatly that they need to have elementary education teaching experience, actual teaching experience, having an elementary ed classroom. I think part of the reason that we struggled as a district the last few years is that we had someone writing curriculum who was an elementary music teacher. And I cannot put my name behind that for someone who is going to be in charge of all of our elementary, specifically our elementary curriculum, that has no elementary teaching experience. As a parent, I went to a math night the other night, and I was the only person in that room out of all the people that taught an elementary math lesson as part of my classroom. Again, we're at the point now where we're like, I'm high school math, I'm junior high English, but I'm going to tell you all about our elementary school math program and why it's so wonderful. And I think just the optics of that alone is something that I can't get behind. And I think we need to show true support of our elementary school teachers and stop giving them secondhand everything. I think we need to have someone with elementary actual teaching experience. And I still love you, Dr. Andes. You're wonderful.
Any other comments? Okay, we have a first and second, so looking for roll call.
Mrs. Cocker? Yes. Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hop?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Nope.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
That's 8-4, 1 against.
Thank you.
Process, to Dr. Kennedy's concerns, what was the process Did you have input at all ahead of time?
What happened was we took 3 leftover administrators and shuffled them into positions, which I think are great positions, but it was who was here and who would, you kind of fit a circle and a square peg kind of deal. I think that we need these positions, but we used personnel we already have instead of,
Okay.
yeah.
I was just going to note that Mr. Hahn is here. If you'd like to stand and be recognized, and congratulations, welcome to the district. Moving on to student services, under 8.1, need a request to grant permission to approve the adoption of an agreement and release valuing $11,623.75 for the benefit of a student in order to settle and comprise all claims raised by the parents of a special education student and to authorize the board president and secretary to execute the agreement on behalf of the district. Do I have a motion for 8.1? Mr. Hart, thank you. Mr. Ehrlich, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hop?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
That's 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Under Operations 9.1, motion to grant permission to use capital reserve funds to pay the invoices related to the emergency repairs to the sinkhole at the high school, the Farino invoice in the amount of $40,677.52, and the H.B. Fraser invoice in the amount of $44,176.23. And 9.2, motion to grant permission to approve a corrected amount of $8,700 to Promax Fence Systems for work to be done to George Mack Stadium fence, approved for the incorrect amount of $77.40 on the August 5th, 2019 board agenda, and paid from the general obligation bond series 2090, I think that's 2019A. Do I have a motion for 9.1 and 9.2? Mr. Negrini, second. Mr. Martin, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hop?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
9-4, 0 against.
Under Finance 10.1, motion to grant permission to create a Class of 2023 Student Activity Account in the High School Student Activities Fund. 10.2, motion to approve the award for the 2019-2020 Winter Spring Athletic Supplies bids as noted on the attached list. 10.3, motion to approve the budget transfer dated June 30th, 2019 as presented. So I need a motion for 10.1 through 10.3. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Mrs. Cocker, second, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hop?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Under Transportation, 11.1, motion to approve the bus routes and stops for the school year 2019-2020, subject to administrative changes throughout the year as attached and presented. 11.2, motion to approve to advertise for request for proposal in order to purchase 2 yellow 9-passenger school vans as presented. I have a motion for 11.1 and 11.2. Mr. Hart, thank you. Second, Mr. Ehrlich. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hop?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Under miscellaneous, we have a motion, we need a motion to accept and vote on the PSBA officers as presented. Mr. Martin, thank you. Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Any discussion? This is a voice vote, so all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to committee reports, BCTC and then Ed Foundation. Mr. Case.
We have not had a meeting since our last board meeting, but I did want to mention one of the things that I would have mentioned last week had I been here. With regard to internships, with the BCTC, they're getting, I know Wilson has been getting more involved in internships. Well, it's also happening at the BCTC. They had 79 seniors out on co-op last year, and they had 37 juniors who participated in the summer internship program. And one of the great things that they talked about is that every person in the internship received $1,200 this summer for being in an internship. And that's typically that's non-taxpayer money. That was from donors and from businesses that were helping that cause out. So they're trying to raise awareness and continue to shore up that program. So it's a great opportunity for students that are going to BCTC. I just wanted to share that good news. But the next meeting is on September 25th at the West Campus.
Thank you.
And then with regard to the Wilson Ed Foundation, if I haven't plugged it enough, the save the date, we don't just have to save the date now because we can actually buy tickets at the Berkshire Country Club at 6 p.m. On November 23rd is the Casino Bash night. It's a great opportunity to support the Wilson Ed Foundation. All goes to good causes, and there's lots of food and spirits, live music, casino games, and more. And the 2019 Legacy Award will be presented to John Doc Moyer this year. So get your tickets. They're on the Wilson website, and you can also call Miss Molly Mack at the, I don't know her extension, but it's on the Wilson website as well. So, and we have a board meeting, a WEF board meeting on Friday at 7:30 in the morning in this room. Thanks.
Great, thank you. IU, Dr. Kennedy.
Our next IU meeting is this Thursday, and our next curriculum committee meeting is tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Dr. Stout's office.
Okay. Burke CIT, Ms. Schlossman, nothing. Under extracurricular, just an update on our fall athletic teams. Boys cross country is currently 5-1. Girls cross country is also 5-1. Field hockey remains undefeated at 8-0. Football undefeated at 4-0. Golf is 12-0 undefeated. Boys soccer 5-1-1. Girls soccer 6-2. Girls tennis 3-5. Girls volleyball 3-2. Boys water polo 6-1, and boys water polo 6-1. Girls water polo is 4-2. Just want to note, if you have not gotten out to see our girls field hockey team, you should do so. If you're used to field hockey pre-turf and when it would bounce all over the place in the grass, this is a really exciting group of girls to watch play. I've seen the game at the college level, and I think they could probably take on several college teams. So I know Coach Underwood's here. Great job with those girls. You have a really talented group right now. Also to note with our band, they participated this weekend in their first competition at Hempfield. On Saturday, they placed first in their division overall. They also took home the first place percussion and the first place auxiliary awards. In addition, they tied for first place overall in the visual award. So great job to them as well. That concludes extracurricular facilities. Mr. Negrini.
No report, although our next scheduled facilities meeting, which is normally on October 14th, has been moved to the 7th or the 21st. Yes.
It's usually on the 7th, and it's been moved to the 14th.
Yeah, it's moved
Yeah.
to the 14th,
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, so we are presenting the overall feasibility study that has been long awaited. So we'll make sure that we announce that change of location and time so that anybody who wants to be here from the public can listen to that full presentation.
Great. Finance, Mr. Ehrlich. HR, Mr. Hart.
No formal report. Our meeting next month is the first Tuesday at noon in Dr. Bailey's office. Congratulations to Mr. Hahn. We look forward to having you on board next month. And to Mr. Dillon, Dr. Andes, and Mr. McCaffrey, you are far more than a leftover administrator to me. And I thank you for all that you have done and all that you will do in your new positions. So thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you. Legislative, Mr. Martin.
Really not a lot happening, but two key items that will be discussed between now and end of this year is going to be school safety, excuse me, school safety and charter schools. The charter school issue is being pushed by the governor. Not sure what's going to come with that. There's a lot of pros and cons to it. And Dr. Fairley and I were at a meeting last week, and basically I don't think people are opposed to charter schools. It's more the funding mechanisms. And there are some issues, obviously, with accountability, but there are different schools for different setups. So I don't think anything's going to get done this year because it's a short session when they come back. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. PR, Ms. Troutman?
Just a couple items. First of all, our students and staff across the district honored the memory of 9/11 last week, and we were able to feature photos of our JRRTC placing flags throughout the high school campus, which is great. They do that every year, and it's a wonderful tradition. And the flagpole ceremony was held again this year at Green Valley, which was another wonderful event. We shared all that through district communications, and then the Reading Eagle ran our photos in Saturday's paper as well, which was fantastic. We also want to note, this was very exciting, Wilson High School STEM program was featured in the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance Commerce Quarterly magazine. The article focused on how Berks businesses can inspire career paths through real-life experiences. Over the summer, honors physics teacher Joe Malagrana was interviewed for the article. And our students, and you can see on the screen, were featured on the cover. That's actually one of our photos that we submitted, and they chose it for the cover. So those are our students on the cover of that magazine. So we're thrilled to have this wonderful recognition for this outstanding program we offer for our 9th grade high school students. And then Ms. Patorks can talk a little bit more about homecoming, but just a reminder, it's coming up actually next week. And one of the things that happens during homecoming on September 27th is that we have the induction ceremony for the Wilson Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2019 at 5 o'clock right here in the staff development room. And then those inductees will be recognized during halftime of the football game. We'll be heavily promoting homecoming over the next couple of weeks. We're hoping for a great turnout of alumni coming back for the football game. Thanks.
Thank you. Technology, Mrs. Cocker?
Our next meeting is October 7th at 4 p.m.
Thank you. Student outreach, Ms. Patorek?
Last Friday night, our football game was quite successful. To start off, Link Crew hosted a great freshman tailgate with lots of music and games, not to mention the great food grilled up by Mr. Campbell. Minithon also raised money for pediatric cancer with Gold Out and that night, and then their car wash on Saturday. The football team brought home a great win, but also on the field, marching band seniors were recognized for their great commitment to the sport. And coming up soon, we will be having our homecoming game. This year, we decided we would have clubs nominate people to the court in addition to letting people nominate themselves. Also, our Pink Out shirts are out for the Pink Out game in October, so I helped create them. So the district's about to get that link. Yes. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Maravich, anything else? Okay. Any other business from the board? Just to note that the board will be meeting in executive session after this evening's meeting as well to discuss personnel issues. If nothing further, looking for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Hart, thank you. We're adjourned.